Well, good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what time of day it is, where you are. A very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. And it is, as usual, lovely to see you all, and I hope that I find you very well indeed. So thank you for popping over just to check out this very, very easy recipe for apple turnovers. You'll find apple turnovers all over the place in Scotland, you know, in the bakers, the supermarkets, takeaways, you know, they are so very popular. Not my kind of favourite snacky treat thing, but they do go down very well in the house, and I'm sure are going to be very popular with lots of you as well. Like I said, they are super easy, but I break out the tape measure and a piping bag because I am that annoying person. I just like everything to be done as neatly as I can, but you don't need to, you know, these don't have to be neat and tidy. They can be as rough, you can be as rough with them as you like. But just before I move on, I wanted to say a massive thank you to the supporters of the channel over on my Patreon page. So thank you once again, guys. There has been quite a few of you the last couple of weeks, so welcome to you as well. I'll leave a link to my Patreon page just underneath this video if you want to go and check it out. And I'm super chuffed as well to see how many of you have been entering that £200 Christmas giveaway. So another, you know, well done to you if you've entered that, and that'll be coming up just before Christmas. So these are all the ingredients that I used, but everything that you see here, along with the quantities and weights, etc., you will find in the show more box underneath this video. There really aren't many ingredients at all. I'm using ready-made, ready-rolled puff pastry for this because it just makes it so easy. The only other thing you've got to do is make your apples and make your glaze, which are both very, very simple. So this recipe is going to give you 6 sort of smallish apple turnovers, but you can do them bigger if you want. So let's go and see what you're going to need and how I managed to get these together. So you're going to need some sort of wire rack and also an oven tray. You want to line that, and then you're going to need some parchment paper or greaseproof paper. This is the pastry that I'm using. You know, you can find this stuff everywhere. So the first thing you want to do is just get your pastry unrolled, and luckily mine is actually 9 inches deep, and that's what you're looking for, and you want it about 13 inches across the way. Each of your wee parcels are going to be just over 4 inches, so just give yourself a wee bit of wiggle room, you know, so I just cut mine to 13. Like I said, you don't have to whip out the tape measure for this. You can totally eyeball this, but if you're anything like me, then yeah, get the tape measure out. And you just want to go ahead and cut this into 6 equal squares. So I'm just going along and marking just over 4 inches and then cutting along with the tape measure, so I've got a nice straight line. So I've done that twice, and that's going to give me 3 strips, and then I've just gone straight across the middle. And with your knife, you don't want to use a sawing motion, you know, because you don't want to disturb those lovely layers. So just sort of stamp with your knife all the way down rather than sawing at it furiously. And just pop this into the fridge just now to firm up until we get on with the apple mixture. So you want this nice and cold. So just pop the whole thing into your fridge if you've got a free shelf. So whilst that's in there chilling out, we're going to go on with the apple filling. So really, really easy. You just want 2 standard green apples. I'm using Granny Smith's. So you just want to peel the skin off, and then you want to cut round the core, or if you've got an apple corer, that would be ideal. And then you want to cut it into bite-size pieces. You do want the pieces quite small because your turnovers are quite small. You don't want, you know, big chunks of apple in there that might tear your pastry. So grab yourself a saucepan on a low to medium heat. You want to get your butter melted. This is 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. Once it's melted, you can pop your apples in, followed by your brown sugar. That's 50 grams or a 1/4 cup. And to that, we're going to add a pinch of salt, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Again, you can completely adjust these to suit yourself. That's just what I've done. Whilst that's simmering away, you can go and do your glaze. Very, very simple. It's just icing sugar or powdered sugar mixed with cream. Now, I've said there between 2 to 4 tablespoons because you want a nice runny consistency like this. So it'll just depend on your cream and your icing sugar. So once you're at this stage, this is ideal. Now I'm going to pop this into an icing bag, a piping bag, because it's going to make it easier to drizzle on at the end. I just pop mine into a glass, fill it up, squeeze it all to the bottom and set that aside for the time being. Just don't snip the end off yet. So go back to your apples, and these are about ready. These have had 5 minutes, but as you can see, there's a lot of liquid in there. So I'm going to pop in just under a tablespoon of plain flour, and that's going to thicken up all those lovely juices, because you don't want this going in to your pastry really wet, or you're going to end up with soggy pastry. So you want to cook this for another minute, just to let that, raw flour taste disappear. And once it's had a minute, pop it into a bowl and let that cool for a wee minute. So grab your pastry back out the fridge, and we're going to start making your turnovers. So with your oven tray, you just want to grab one of your squares and pop it directly on to your oven tray. With a pastry brush and some beaten egg and a wee bit of water in there as well, you just want to go all around your edges, and this is going to act as a kind of glue to hold your squares or your triangles together. Then straight into the centre, put a heaped tablespoon of your apple mixture, and just make sure that's well sealed all the way around. You'll find this is quite slippy. You'll be able to manoeuvre this pastry around quite well until you've got it where you want. Then with a fork, you just want to go around the edge, and you will find this quite sticky. So just use some flour on the tines of your fork, and this will stop it sticking. Pop a couple of holes in the top to let your steam escape, and that way these will not burst. You might get a wee bit of leakage, but they won't burst. So just do that for your remaining 5 turnovers. And you just want to glaze the tops of these. You don't have to do all the way around where you've done the wee fork marks. In fact, I wouldn't do that, because that'll prevent, you won't get as much puffage if you do. So just on the top, so the wee bulgy bit is fine. And don't forget to make your air holes. Now you want to refrigerate this for about half an hour to get it nice and chilled again, and then bake this for between 30 and 35 minutes. I've got a gas cooker, so I use gas mark 5, but if you've got an electric cooker, 375F will be around the same kind of temperature. And this was me 40 minutes later, and don't they look fab? And these smell absolutely incredible. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of these, but everybody else in the house loves their pastries. And I'm going to let Mr. What's for Tea try one of these in a wee second, and you'll hear what he's got to say. So the last thing you want to do, whilst they're still warm, is pop on your glaze. You can do this when it's cold as well, but if you do it when it's hot, it's just going to all sort of melt into that warm pastry. So give them a couple of minutes to cool down, and here we go. So this is them nearly cooled. There's still a wee bit of heat in here, but we're going to see what Mr. What's for Tea thinks. He's going to have a wee bite and let us know. So I'll pop it through.
Very nice.
He said they're very nice, so that gets a thumbs up from him. So that was your verdict there. There was one happy camper, was Mr. What's for Tea. And he actually had another one of these. He had a couple of these. He's so cheeky and quite greedy. But never mind. Yeah, they went down very well. And these freeze really well as well. Before you cook them, obviously they have to be raw. If you put these into the freezer, they will keep in your freezer for about 3 months. And they cook, they bake up really well from frozen as well. So you don't have to thaw them out or anything, which is another good wee tip if you're not going to be having them straight away. So that was my wee recipe for this week, guys, and thank you very much for popping over just to check out what was a very easy recipe. And if you do like your pastries and sort of apple-y based desserts and pastries, I'm sure you're going to love these. So give it a go, let me know what you think. And if you follow me over on Instagram, you'll find my information down below in the show more box as well. Send me your pictures. But until I see you next time, guys, mind to take care, and I'll see you off soon back here on What's for Tea. So bye for now. Bye now.